waiting. Okay, I believe we're live now. Sorry, we're running a little late today, folks. Just getting things set up here and dealing with some Zoom audio issues, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We'll get started. Give me a moment to get our notes out here. Where are the notes? Let's see. There we go. Okay. Not notes, I'm at the YouTube chat, which I'm putting here in the lower right for us. Okay, welcome back to another town hall. I think we have at least one person watching on YouTube, and others will be coming along shortly. So good morning to everyone. Ben, are you able to help us with notes today?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Excellent. Okay. On we go. No introduction, so we'll go to our action items. Okay, so I had an action item to gather some of the monthly expenses that I've been absorbing in terms of our hosting and some of the email fees and that sort of thing, which I have done. I now have to draft a Loomio thread for discussion and ultimately a proposal to get reimbursed on those, and I have not done that part yet. So I just need to write up that Loomio proposal. I'm going to leave this on here as my reminder. I will try to get to that in the next week or so. Next one was for me to schedule a meeting for planning our next chapter audit. I did send out an availability poll. Unfortunately, we were not able to sync up on a date and time. The best option I have so far is actually tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Everyone is available except for Masvi. And so I figured it was best to just bring it up here and ask what you guys think. If I recall correctly, I think Masvi said just, include me if you can, but he didn't sound like he was all too concerned about being part of it. Did you guys get the same impression? John?
I'm sorry, would you ask that question again, Darren?
Talking about the chapter audit, we have to have a meeting to talk about how to approach the next chapter audit, and Masvi had told us to include him. He is not available tomorrow at 10. Should we look for a different day and time, or should we proceed without him?
I think we should look for a different date and time.
All right, then I'm going to have to send out another poll. I'll do that.
Sorry.
Then I had an action item to set up a new email address for Rick, which is done. Now, here's the thing, Rick. You'll have an invite in your inbox for the account and the password. Get that all set up. So it's just rick@e-NABLE.org. That's not what your help desk account is tied to right now, though. So when you're responding to tickets, that's still coming from support@e-NABLE.org. But for regular emails, you now have a Gmail account that you can sign into separately as rick@e-NABLE.org. If you feel that it would be easier, or you would prefer to be doing the help desk stuff under the rick@e-NABLE.org, we can certainly set it up that way. For right now, as you know, we have it under that shared account, support@e-NABLE.org. So go ahead and set up the email account first, and then we can just touch base and see if you want to change anything else. But
okay, no, that's fine. Whatever you guys think is best.
But as far as anyone, you want to give anyone an e-NABLE, if you want to have, if you want to share your contact info or whatever, you can tell them now to reach out to at rick@e-NABLE.org, and you'll have your own address for that.
Outstanding. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, so that one's done. And then the next one was for me to share a Google Doc for revising our content. Well, this was done. This is for the chapters page. So I just wanted to pop this open and see if anyone else put in notes here. It does not look like it. So up here we have John's take at revising. So down below is the original content, basically just introducing the chapters map. And then here we have kind of a revised condensed version from John. Has anyone else had a chance to look at this? I mean, do we want to just, paste it in the way he has it here? Do we want to do any further work on this? Do we want to workshop it now? I don't quite know how to approach this.
If we don't have a really full agenda, we could workshop it now and then it's done.
Okay, well, let's take a few minutes. Say we try to limit this to 5 minutes or so. I don't think it should take more than that. I see Ben is in there reviewing already. So the idea was, I remember one of the key things we wanted to get across here is the fact that, if you're new to e-NABLE, starting a chapter is not the first thing you should be doing. So he's saying if you're new, use the map to see if there's a chapter near you, get in touch if there is. If there isn't, introduce yourself, get started learning. If you want local collaborators, find communities, okay. When your team clicks, and especially if your team finds themselves working in multiple cases, you might want to form a chapter. Okay, what do you guys think about this approach of describing it?
I'm
Should
going
we
to add in some text on the bottom. I
Please do.
think it might be worthwhile to have a little disclaimer at the top that just explains what a chapter is and what it's useful for. And I think it can be really helpful as a local entity for people to collect local funding and reach out to local partners to have that presence and that identity. But maybe we can just kind of identify that right in the beginning.
I'm adding something. Please go ahead with that, Ben. I'm adding something else down here saying explicitly that you do not need to be part of a chapter to volunteer with us. Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts there? I think we're getting close to something that gives the message we want. Rick, what do you think? I don't know if you've been part of this discussion, but we're trying to set the right tone for the top of the chapters page here.
I think that what you're doing is awesome, because now I'll have something to point people to when they ask, do I need to start a chapter? And this will be something I can easily either copy paste with a link, so they'll have both, you know. And
Look at me, I'm still trying to break John of this 1980s habit of 2 spaces after punctuation. Okay, I think we're pretty close here. I'm gonna, Ben, feel free to keep editing there. I'm gonna leave it, and then after the meeting, I'll just go ahead and drop it in. I think we can always edit it further, but I think this is an improvement over what we had there. It gives people a better sense of their options.
What
So
do you
that's-
guys think of this one sentence as just the first line?
Where did you add it? Which one did you add? Oh, up at the very top here?
At the bottom, sorry for the echo. Let me just, I'm doing these 2 things at once. Burp.
Ah, there we go.
So then why don't we then say, let's couple that with this.
Okay.
Good.
Looks good. Are we fairly happy? Okay. Feel free to make edits if other ideas come to mind during the meeting, and I'll pop that in later. All right. Next one is for Rick to coordinate an introductory meeting between e-NABLE and 50 Legs. Any replies?
none. I was hoping maybe what I could do is if you guys would help me to draft a welcome letter, or so I will try to get, if I have to, I'll just knock on their door. But if I have something that maybe it isn't just me trying to contact them, might hold more water. But I have not heard back yet.
John, you must have something that you've emailed somebody in the past as a sort of a letter of introduction that kind of describes our community or something. Is there something like that?
You know, you would think so, but I don't have anything off the.
Really? Okay.
But what we did have for Renate was a trifold, which provides a certain credibility. I will dredge up the trifold and just see if I can't.
And I'm also thinking about, it was a while ago now, but we worked together collaboratively on some kind of a submission for I don't remember if it was a grant or what, but there was a pretty extensive write-up about our community and impact and all that. Would that document be available and worth sharing? Do you remember the one I'm talking about?
I think you're probably thinking about the materials we put together for the Goldman Sachs team.
I guess that was one example. There was another one before that we had done, but that's probably more recent. You're right. Is that material still available, what we did for the Goldman Sachs?
I'm sure it's in our email somewhere.
God, we built so much stuff that we just.
Yeah, if you guys can equip me,
I've
I'll
lost.
take it right to them.
We'll try
Okay,
to
Rick,
we'll try to
that's
find
fair.
something for you. Okay, and then Rick needs to give us presentation. So Rick did give us a presentation, but we're going to need more than one, because even just today before we started, he was showing me a dozen other things he's done that was pretty mind-blowing. Let's see how the time goes today. I want to try to take a few minutes and have you show some folks here what you were showing me earlier, but let's get through a few of our agenda items first. Ben, update the monthly schedule for June when you have time, please.
It's up.
Oh, it is. I just looked this morning and I didn't see it.
Yeah, I hadn't had it sort of in the wiki, but it is now.
Oh, it is there now. Okay. Okay, good. So I will update that. And then Mazvi is not here right now. So we will, oh, and he already did this anyway. So let's cross that off. That's the widget he added for non-logged in users about the time submission. Okay, e-NABLE metrics, here we go. Nothing really stood out as being out of the ordinary. Hold on, this is not, we have a bit of a glitch here. I'm sorry, sometimes it pops in the wrong version of the image. Let me show you the right image over here. This is this week's data. There was something that I had seen that I wanted to point out. Now I'm not remembering what it was. Everything here looks, oh, I remember what it was. e-NABLE Web Central, number of available cases ticked up from 23 to 27. So somebody threw in a handful of new cases there. So I don't know what they are. I haven't had time to look, but you might want to take a peek if you're looking for cases. There are some new ones in e-NABLE Web Central now. And let's put my right graphic in here. Okay, on we go. From the hub, we got some interesting posts this week. So first of all, Jack Buchanan has posted the assembly videos for Kwawu 3.0, which is very exciting. This is a design that he gave a presentation on recently. Really impressive work, some very key innovations in this design. If you did not see the presentations that he gave, I highly recommend it. You'll find those in our archives. If somebody wanted to find those specific presentations, Ben, I don't recall where to point them to. Are those in the focus follow-up?
Yeah, you can go to the YouTube channel, and there's a playlist for
there you
each
go.
of our each of the monthly meetings, and actually we do have that listed. If you go to the wiki,
that's what I was looking for. Okay.
Yeah, you'll see it. There should be.
So that was in May. So you go to the May community events.
You can do it that way, and then go to the published page, or probably the easier way to do it is if you go back.
Okay.
Go back one more time. There should be the all the videos. Let's see.
Oh, video playlist of all
Yes.
e-NABLE events. Okay, so this is in the main wiki, in the main forum wiki under e-NABLE community events, and then video playlists of all e-NABLE events. Excellent. That's a good one to remember. And he's got everything really nicely organized.
I wonder, that YouTube channel has gotten much more significant than when we designed the hub.
Yeah.
I wonder if a link to the YouTube channel should be on the sidebar or the top.
Or an embed. It's actually very easy to embed the entire channel with playlists and everything. We might want to talk to Mazvi about just embedding our YouTube channel within
just
a
this
page.
This page right here has the embeds, and it has all the information, and it'll be updated automatically based on just tagging the videos in the right.
I feel like this should be more prominent. Like right now, you have to go into the wiki and find it. I feel like we need to figure out a way to make this a little bit more front and center. That's a pretty key page for people that want to keep up on goings on. Something to think about. It could maybe just be a direct link over here. We could put another.
I think that's right.
Okay.
That sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so anyway, check out the assembly videos for the Kwawu 3. That's a really good motivation for trying to make one yourself. I think it's a really cool design with a lot of potential. ARM design, that is. Another message from Alejandro, who is preparing to make a kinetic hand, and he was wondering how much flexible material is needed. There was some commentary on this. He was asking if he needed a kilogram. He certainly doesn't need that much. I pointed out that the flexibles are only used for the hinges, and so you can get away with a lot less. But
and a palm.
And the what? Oh, the
And
palm
palm.
cover, the mesh, but still nowhere near a half a kilogram. I mean,
No, it's not that bad.
But another volunteer, Joe, pointed out something that I had forgotten about. He pointed out that whatever slicer you're using, he's using Prusa slicer. I use Cura. Pretty much any of the good slicers give you material estimates when you slice.
Right.
So if you just load in the models, you set your settings, you set it to the scale you need, and you slice, it'll tell you exactly how many grams of material it's going to need for that print. It's a great way of figuring things like this out if you're wondering what you're going to need for a certain project. So I just thought that was worth reminding people of. Okay, then we had another one from our friend Eric Dubar, who is, some of you already know, he's been approved for a new engineering program, which is going to incorporate a lot of the stuff he's doing with e-NABLE. And as part of that work, he's now looking at, he shared a very interesting design for an open source universal test machine. We know Eric has done a lot of cool work on testing devices, strength testing, functionality testing, etc. And so this is for some kind of a universal testing rig that I haven't gone through all the details and I haven't looked at the video, but this looks pretty cool and I'd encourage you guys to check it out.
That's a lot better than the fish weighing scales we've been using.
Yeah, well, we had chatted with Eric about this, the idea of something a little bit more standardized that we could point other school groups to and say, hey, here's something you can build and help test our devices and gather data. I think this looks like a really good step forward on that. So nice work, Eric. Thank you for sharing that. And then the last one I pulled out here is from Joshua Trubinsky, who is seeking a device for a man who recently lost 4 fingers in a lawnmower accident. Warning, this is a little bit graphic, the image, but that was the main reason I wanted to share it, because I think it's important that we talk about the fact that you don't want to be making a device for somebody until they are properly healed. This person is not ready for any kind of a device. And it's very important that we make sure that they're working with their medical professionals on that end to make sure that they are, you know, truly ready and healed up enough that they can have a device without doing any harm. I see that there is a comment to that effect here. Bruce is pointing out the client is still healing, really doubt the benefit of any prosthetic until they fully healed. So I'm glad somebody's pointing that out. He said the client was in an accident 3 days ago and is very hopeful about starting the process of possibly getting a prosthetic. So he wished I could share it. Completely agree. Definitely tell him we should wait until to get measurements until he is healed. And that's a good point. I just want to, you know, not only because of the fact that the tissues are still healing and obviously, you know, they can interfere with the healing process. I also had an experience with one individual where I was working with a medical professional, an occupational therapist, who brought me in specifically to make a device for this guy, but even he didn't realize that the swelling had not fully gone down. And so we spent actually quite a long time designing a custom device around a 3D scan of his limb. And then by the time we got it out there and did the fitting, his swelling had gone down, and so it no longer fits. So there are multiple reasons that you want to wait a while until somebody is fully healed and anatomy is normalized as much as possible before we make a device. But I think the key point is make sure there's a medical professional involved to give us that guidance.
We've had a lot of side discussions on this one as well. And they've been writing to me. I'm going to work with them on, we have a hybrid kinetic that uses nick fingers.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And that really works nicely. But he wants to have a Zoom meeting so we can teach him how to use SCAD and the customizer. Going back to what you said about Jock's hand, he said to me that he's going to not use SCAD in the future, which I hope that's not true, but we'll see.
We were talking about that. One possibility is the software application that a team within e-NABLE has been working on, which we are tentatively calling e-NABLE Forge. That has the potential of replacing what he's doing in OpenSCAD. And I think he was attracted to that possibility. We're just not quite there yet. It's still a work in progress. Okay, so those are the posts of interest, certainly not all of them, but the top ones that came up. So feel free to click on those links and jump in the discussion if anyone wants. All right, so upcoming meetings, our next one is going to be Monday, our chapters leader meeting led by John. Anything to share there, John?
No, we're going to return to the theme of Europe and the Ukraine. And that's all I got.
Very good.
It's worth mentioning that Masvi's gonna agree to present some of his updates, and he did post that in the hub. So he is the lead presenter for the first couple of minutes to share his updates and then start the conversation from there.
Excellent. Okay. Let's jump over to the new monthly schedule of events. And what's easiest here, the print version, Ben, to look at?
Published page is probably the best way to do it.
All right, I'll let you kind of take us through this.
So we've already had the first Bionics meeting with Rick. We've got the chapter leaders meeting coming up with Masvi, and we've got a workshop with Kyle. He's going to just join for the first part of the meeting, but to introduce a discussion on how volunteers can use the e-NABLE platform to fund e-NABLE projects. It'd be great to get anybody who has been involved with e-NABLE into that meeting. So I might make a post on Loomio. I think that would be a good way to pull some conversations together and use that as a reference. And to end the month, we've got John Scholl is joining us again to share orientation materials and I think take the video from the last session and DJ it.
Okay. Just a side note there, if I recall correctly, tell me if I'm getting my months out of order here, but I think the last new member meetup we did, we also gave a kind of an overview presentation, and it didn't leave us with a whole lot of time to actually address new member questions. So maybe let's make sure we leave some time this month for that. Just so we don't have.
That sounds good. And I also noticed I have to update the date. So it's the 4th meeting is not in May, but in June. So I'll update that.
Okay. All right. And then let's see, no upcoming one-time events. So we'll go on to our discussion topics and starting with one that Ben just touched on. Kyle also has a proposal of his own up in Loomio right now. It's closing in 3 days. And as of now, we actually only have 12 votes. They're all in agreement, but we need 15 for it to pass. So if anyone right now in this meeting has not voted yet, please click that link and chime in. And I hope that we can encourage a few more people to jump in on this. It would be a shame to see such a good proposal not get approved just because of lack of participation.
You know, one thing we didn't do, which we really need to get better at, is advise Kyle that he should also post about this in 1 or 2 of the Facebook groups and on the hub, saying there's a proposal to be voted on.
Well, just because we're down to our last 3 days, should we post something in the hub just to draw people's attention to this, or
yes, we should.
Okay,
I could post it and try to link it to the event that we have coming up the June 24th.
That would be great if you could, yeah. Because I mean, if he's going to be talking about, the benefits of using the Loomio platform, it would be nice if he could say, hey, and I just had a proposal get approved through this.
That's right.
So, okay, all right, we'll post something. We only need 3 more. There are 0 people not in favor of it. So it's just a matter of getting a few more to chime in. Okay, we're seeking a couple of interns to proceed with important work efforts. Any updates on candidates for those 2 roles?
No updates, but
Okay.
actually,
But is Ian actually sort of, I don't know how to say
yes.
this. Is he the one that's actually going to be reviewing candidates and trying to kind of bring people in, or?
That is my understanding. We should
Awesome.
pop them an email.
Okay.
I say we, but I'm about to get on a plane. So Ben, can you add it to our list?
I've got
Where you headed, John? Where you
Okay.
headed? John?
Oh, I'm sorry, New York City. I thought you said already added. I am headed to New York City.
All right, our matching platform analysis, nothing to report. I just sent a follow-up email to Ed Grieg this morning just to check in and see if he's up for some further discussion. I'm sure he is. He's just very busy. So my guess is in the next week or 2, we will have a follow-up discussion with him, and that will be to see if there is interest in them taking on a bit of a broader scope effort possibly not entirely free of charge, but that's the discussion we need to have. So that'll be the next step there. Okay, open tickets in desk. I don't think we have much to look at, but let's pop over and see how we're doing there. We still have this inquiry from somebody looking for help with a child in Ukraine. I think, Ben, were you gonna, oh no, I sent this over to Masvi, didn't I? Did I? I don't remember if I actually did or
He
if I
was in the
supposed to.
meeting when we discussed this yesterday, last week.
Yeah, but he gave me his address, but I think maybe I was supposed to forward this to him, and I don't know if I actually did that. I just can't remember now. I wish he was here to tell me. I'd better forward this along right now, just so I don't forget.
I know Masvi's been working on that, and that's going to be the discussion that we have in the monthly meeting. If you want to, in this email, link the monthly meeting.
Link the what?
If you just copy that section of the monthly schedule and post that in, you can let them know that we're going to be having this discussion with all of our chapters about the efforts in Ukraine. So that might be useful for them to join as well. That'd be a great place for them to be.
So how would I do that? Go to the published page?
Yep.
Okay.
And
And
then
you're
just
saying
copy the whole thing.
the whole, I mean, the link?
The number 2, the chapter leaders. Yeah, you just stick that in there. Perfect.
And you're saying it might be good to invite them to this discussion?
Yeah, if they are supporting the efforts in Ukraine, it'd be great to have them be involved, I would imagine.
Okay, there we go. Sending that over to Masvi. Let's go back to tickets here. There was this sponsorship inquiry, and I think this one you took, Ben. This was this the one? Let's see. This is, yeah, from Zip Sprout. Are these the ones that you took on, or was that somebody else? We have 2 kind of sponsorship inquiries going on. This is the one, the guys that wanted to donate $100 and get on the website.
Oh,
You were going to give them some other options.
I was. That's a good reminder.
Okay.
Okay, I'll follow up today.
And then I think, is that it? Let's see. This one I've never made. Oh, this is one of these replies that I talked to Rick about. I think this is one that Rick is handling, so we're good on this one. Okay, so we're all good on tickets. Anything else, Rick, that you need help with or discuss right now?
No, just the tickets that I escalated. There was, I think, only 2 or 3, and I know you're on top of them. They were
Great.
just a little out of my depth.
Yeah, no problem. That's what we're here for. It should be a team approach. Okay, chapter audit. We are going to have to work again on finding a day and time for that. I don't remember who was here when we talked about that last. We were not able to find a day and time that worked for everyone. So I will send out a new poll for the following week, and we will try again to see if we can find something that is good for everyone. And let's see, that kind of brings us back into our higher level topics of just sort of some of the changes we've been going through and seeking new leadership. And I don't know, do we want to dive back into that discussion today? Is there anything to report on there, John or Ben?
Ben, we had a plan for a couple of rendezvous meetings, but I don't remember what it was. And I see your hand is up.
You gotta unmute, Ben.
Sorry. I was going to mention based on the post about the sponsorship for $100, we have an article that's ready to be published about the Dominican Republic effort. From conversations with Kyle, it looks like Creality is decided to move forward in Tanzania, and that's just a really wonderful project. But while they're focusing on that, we could look at FlashForge as being somebody that could potentially offer some support to the Dominican Republic team. Is that something that seems like it would be worth pursuing?
Yes.
Well, yeah, what would are you saying for that specific initiative or just in general, the partnership?
Well, they had reached out in general to say, how can we help? I think that specific initiative, because we have this article that's ready, getting some sponsorship from them.
I think it's a good idea. The only thing I don't know is if I don't know if there's any kind of exclusivity clause with Kyle's ambassador relationship with Creality. You know, if they're sending printers and sponsoring, I don't know how they'd feel about a direct competitor because FlashForge and Creality go head to head.
I don't think he has the bandwidth to do that right now, because he's focusing on the Tanzania project. So we had looked at, could this be a project for Creality? Kyle reached out to Creality. That kickstarted this project in Tanzania that had sort of been on hold, which is great. You know,
Right.
How wonderful, but it doesn't necessarily move anything forward with the Dominican Republic project. So
Oh, I
seems
see.
like an
I
opportunity
thought we were
for us
talking
to-
about the same project. I was confused. Okay.
Mhm.
So is
No,
Creality involved in the Dominican Republic project?
No,
We
they
offered
have
it.
turned it down. And
Got it.
so Ben and I thought that this might be a nicely packaged opportunity for FlashForge to do
The same.
their
kind of
own
thing.
little event.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to help me with that, I'd be happy to send that article over. But I think in terms of, ideally, we can ask Kyle for some suggestions, but he's not going to be able to be directly involved because he's got a lot of things going on and working with Creality. So I think if somebody else on the team wanted to help me with reaching out to Creality or to FlashForge and how to approach that, it'd be great if, I'd like to
I
just
can do
publish
that.
this article. Okay. Great. And I think too, it's, this article is sort of on hold, but it's ready to go. So, I'd like to leverage it if we can to actually help this project move forward, but publishing it also is going to help this project move forward a bit. So let's give it a shot with FlashForge. John, if you can help me with that, that's great.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
Okay. At this point, honestly, I'd like to open it up, guys. I don't feel like there's anything really timely here on the rest of these topics. So I'll need to open it up to you guys and ask if there's anything else you'd like to discuss. Otherwise, I have no problem keeping this a shorter meeting today. Anything at all? Anything that we haven't talked about? Actually, before I do have one thing. Like I'd said earlier on, I'd like to take a few minutes and have Rick show us a couple of things he was showing us this morning. If you guys want a little show and tell, let me spotlight you for a second, Rick. You got to show us some of these newer projects that you were showing earlier.
Okay. Well, we're going to Ace Hardware today because we need some parts. But one of the things I thought you guys would like is dumb as this looks. It's kind of working out pretty well. It's made out of 2 canes, tips that you can get at Walgreens. And what it did was it gave us a nice shock absorber foot for a dog. We're building this dog leg. And because they're quite bouncy, this thing worked out pretty well. And it's going to be attached to, we have this universal connector. And the straps go through back here. And we have multiple different feet for it. We're trying to make it as modular as possible. So the dog legs can be used for different size dogs and they're relatively parametric.
Hey, that part that you just showed, the foot part, well, and this one here too, that where the bounciness comes from the bending of the part itself. What material are you using? Is that a nylon?
It's TPU.
Oh, TPU.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's rubber, so he can
Nice.
So he can bounce, and it's parametric in nature. So it allows us to run the straps and then put the paw in, in here. Very, very comfortable. The one thing I did want to show you guys is this. This is kind of the latest. Remember when we talked about the Chinese finger puzzle?
Yes.
This thing is a gripper. I'm telling you, this thing is good.
That
And
is
the beauty
brilliant.
is it will not come off unless, of course, you remember you guys push it like when we were kids.
That is really a good idea.
And because it's not like it.
I think that's an important invention, Rick.
Absolutely. And not
I
just
did not
not just at
invent
the
it.
finger level, but think about a larger version of that could maybe be used for holding a socket on.
Exactly.
Is that 3D printed, Rick?
No, I have to be honest. This we found this is a medical device. We knew we wanted to do it, so we went looking, and apparently if people break all their fingers, they hang them up like this, to put them in like a traction.
That's right.
But what we're trying to do is braid our own, because this is nowhere big. This is the biggest one they make. This is the XL, and it's just too small to use on a dog.
So they don't have a larger one that's ready made.
Right. So what we're going to do is we've gone to all the local stores, you know, the box straps, and now we're learning to braid these so we can do that. We got a piano playing hand.
Real quick, before going to the next hand,
This is some dense stuff here. You got to slow
yeah,
down.
going back to that material, would it be possible to print that? Because I know that you can do print in place with the mesh, and it just seems like if you could print and scale that to a whole limb, that could be really cool.
Agree with you 1,000%. It was a little beyond my skill set because it takes 8 bands.
Yeah, that
To
would be
do
a
it. It takes
very
8
tricky
interwoven
print.
bands, and the weaving is very weird. I've actually got one that's the original finger puzzle, and they actually make them out of bamboo. And we bought a bag of them for like $2.50. And then we found a YouTube video that teaches you how to weave them. And we thought, well, if we could learn to weave them any size, if you think that there's a method we could use to 3D print it, that would actually be awesome.
I doubt it. I'm thinking about it. I'm even thinking about a possibility of printing something that lays flat and then you kind of connect it at, but even printing it flat, I don't see
right.
it.
It's just, we struggled with that, just like you guys are right now in the head, trying to say, how can we do, but anything less than 8 bands, we tried a 4, a 6, and an 8. The other bands just didn't work. They didn't hold.
I mean, that's a design problem though, isn't it? Like just somebody that can have the design.
No, I think, Ben, it's really comes down to the capabilities of 3D printers with what you can and can't do. In order to print that type of geometry, the only way you could possibly pull it off is if you're printing with like some kind of water soluble supports, and most people don't have that. I don't see a viable way of doing that not with FDM.
I'll bet the manufacturers have a weaving machine. I have
sure.
no idea what it does, but I'm sort of imagining 8 strands spinning on a thing.
Well, that's exactly what they do. I've seen this on how it's made. It's a series of spindles that spin in pairs and spin around each other and weave it together. It's a pretty cool machine, but yeah, that's probably how they're doing it.
The bands use, well, we went and bought one of these. So we can make our own.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We went and bought one of these. We found it for $30 and it does that. But only 4 strands.
Okay.
So we've been trying to find things that work. What we're finding is that is better with the flat bands that are about a 1/2 inch wide is the best way to do it. But we're still experimenting with the strapping, and we'll see. We're not gonna give up. Because I think it would be, the surgeon was really thrilled with this because he said it won't come off. I put this finger thing on him. It's
a brilliant mechanism. I think you've identified the key challenge, which is going to come down to production, because that strikes me as the most difficult part of this. Is even if you are able to figure out how to make one, how long is it going to take other people to do that for each device? That's what we have to figure out.
Rick, I've seen that used for bundling electrical cable.
Yep.
But they don't make it large.
Yeah, they do. They make it very large. The problem is,
well, then why?
The problem is what?
It doesn't grip.
Yeah, because it's not designed.
For me, real quick. Yeah, I'll show you guys. We bought 2 big rolls of it. We waste so much money just experimenting. I'm telling you.
Hold up the one that you have again, the finger thing. Now, how important is it that it appears to be tapered where it's wider at the end and gets thinner? Is that important to the gripping, or is that just kind of how it? Okay,
it's just how it was made. Could you also grab that little bag? See, I have them this wide. See, you could easily get your whole hand in here, right? The problem is
doesn't do the same
grip. It just doesn't work. And the other thing we have, these work the best. These are the best.
Yeah.
And if we could figure out, this is why we're doing the strands or the strapping on the boxes. This holds better than anything, the old original, right? And because if you look how it works, it bends, it moves, and this thing holds like you wouldn't even believe. And this is what we really want, is this flat. And I have a video on how to braid this. And we've been talking to all the box stores. They've been donating this tape, the strapping to us.
Yeah.
Because it costs $240 for a roll, but they throw theirs away. All of them do. So to me, the throwaway was best. We've been experimenting with all these materials, even cat toys.
So here's the challenge, Rick. I don't think it's realistic to 3D print the mechanism you're trying to make. I do think it's realistic to eventually come up with a design for some kind of a 3D printable mechanism that could be used to make them. So once you figure out the method, you could probably 3D print something, some kind of a machine that would help with this weaving that we could then share with other volunteers so they could
like
make
that
their
cranky thing. If it had 4 strands or 8 strands, it would be better.
Yeah.
I just
There's a
something
larger one, but it was $400 and we didn't, that wasn't in the budget. The other thing I really wanted to show you guys, I know I'm probably taking your
Well,
time.
hold on. No, you're not. But before we move on to that, let me take 1 second to share what Ben just shared here. How to weave an 8-strand braid on a wooden loom.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is pretty cool. So this is something where you can just use a screwdriver, and it could be 3D printing just that wooden disc. Could be made out of plastic as well. But you can basically do the twisting just with a screwdriver.
Right,
drill.
but it has to be able to have that flat grip. Those flat sides are what seems to matter. The more round the material, the less it grips, is what we're finding.
Right. So Rick, keep doing the research, but as soon as you've proved you understand the basic concept, I suspect we're going to want to reach out to a manufacturer.
I agree.
That's another option, yeah.
If we have some crafters out there, the crafters are amazing and they're always willing to help us. We've had really good luck with the crafters. All we have to do is teach them how to do it and they'll do it. The beauty is they don't have to be particularly long. It's a very short one by comparison. They just have to be large in diameter.
Well, it feels like something that has very rich possibilities.
I presented this to the amputee group here in St. Pete, and they went nuts. They loved the idea. So,
I bet.
I mean, they were all fooling with them. Look at Ben's. We also have a dog shoulder. We're working on. This is actually works in conjunction with those feet that I showed you. We're making universal feet.
Now this is one of several pieces that you've shown where you haven't pointed this out explicitly, but you're making these in a different way than what we're doing. You're actually taking a sheet of plastic and thermoforming it as opposed to 3D printing, right?
This is a homemade
vacuum former.
Vacuum form machine that you can make for almost nothing, and it uses aluminum and please don't make fun of us. It uses these bulldog clips.
And what's your heat source? Are you just using a heat gun on top of it or something?
Our oven.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And this thing here is a box and it has all the plumbing in it.
Yep.
It's just Ace Hardware special, and it has, here's the hole. And you put we're using for the vacuum source, we're basically using a shop vac. And then you just put the sheet in here, you superheat the material, and then you're off to the races. And we just built this dog leg here. The bottom hasn't been cut out yet, so you're basically seeing the after form of the dog leg.
Now, how thick is that? That looks like pretty thick material. What are you using there?
We're experimenting. I'm going to mispronounce this. I'm sure it's called Krydex. Is it Krydex? I guess they use it for gun holsters. I don't know. It's specifically for some kind of
definitely. It looks carbon fiber reinforced, right?
It does, and it's very strong. Super. I mean, this stuff you can't even cut it.
Yeah.
We ended up having to modify a soldering iron with knives to cut this, to superheat and cut the nut with a hot knife. Because you can't cut it with anything else. We tried tin snips.
Yep.
And this stuff is super strong. And the beauty of this is you're not into a 2-day print. You're talking like you got 10 seconds, zoom, it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think guys can see it. I'm going to try to, thickness wise, it's I think an 1/8 inch.
Oh yeah, that's pretty thick for forming.
Yeah. And I stretched it all this way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I
the
was
leg.
asking, because that's a lot of a lot of extension you're getting on it.
And look,
That's
it
incredible.
automatically did these ribs. I did not even know that would happen.
Yeah,
But
okay.
the ribs are super strong. And then we cut the bottom out, and then we put it in. We went and got a toaster oven, a nasty old toaster oven, and we used that then to form the top, or what would be the shoulder part. And then we just form it to the animals after we built the alginate, and then we have his forms that we do. I sent you guys some of the 3D prints, and then it just appears to work. And the beauty of it is you don't have those days and days of printing.
Oh yeah. John.
So have you put this on a dog?
Yeah, well, we yesterday we were at the surgeon's office, and he
Okay.
was super pleased with it, because it was very soft. It has inside of it, it has silicone on the inside, because this particular dog, it looks like a previous surgeon had taken his paw and attached it to his upper joint. So the paw, it was a tough one, because his paw was really big, but the rest of the leg was really small. So it was hard.
Did you take video?
We're going to be having all kinds of videos. I've sent you guys the videos of everything we did with the actual sizing and all of that. We will have videos.
So Rick, listen, the truth is, I am focusing on Rick Williams during these town hall meetings. I saw your incredible archive of videos. I haven't reviewed them all. You're a handy guy, and you are a natural for a bunch of short YouTube videos where you just sort of do what you're doing now, but a little bit more systematically with some live dog action. And I think it could be a big hit. So I want to encourage you to think about either finding a video YouTube partner or becoming a YouTube craftsman along with your other skills, because you've got great stuff cooking.
We one of the problems is, as you guys know, a dog will chew and eat anything, right? He ain't gonna bite through this. We actually tried to drill it, and it was difficult to drill through it even. So material wise, I think we're onto the right stuff. My wife is not particularly amused about the use of her oven.
Yeah, I bet.
But we're getting there. We went to the 12x12 platform only because we found that if we stretch it much further than that, Jeremy, I wish we had your skills in this, but much more than that, we're not equipped for. So for a dog or even a child, this is a nice platform size, super cheap. I think all in all, we got $70 in this thing. That's it.
That's great.
I mean, to be fully set up for $70, and it wouldn't have been that much if we had any skills. We didn't know what we were doing. But it's getting there, and working with the surgeon is awesome, because we don't want to hurt a pup or anything, but we're using his guidance a great deal, and we're trying to make everything modular so we can in fact plug in all these crazy ends, and if it's modular enough, we don't have to start from scratch every time. Is our thought.
Okay, so rather than relying on you to make all these videos yourself, you have two invitations, Rick. One from Ben asking you if you'd like to do a presentation on animal prosthetics for July 22nd, maybe. And a second invitation from me to join me on 3D Universe Untethered as my guest to talk about the same topic.
I'm always happy to do it. As long as I don't embarrass you.
Not at all. I think that would be a great discussion. I will follow up with you about the 3D Universe Untethered. Ben will follow up with you about getting on the schedule for July. And I think
I might even be able to get the surgeon to talk to you.
That's what he mentioned. Yeah, July 22nd with the surgeon, question mark. That would be great.
He might love to do that. He's a really super guy, just an awesome fellow. And
fantastic.
as he just opened his veterinary surgeon clinic. And what's really hilarious about his last name's Hurt. His name's
Last name
Richard
is what?
Hurt. Hurt, H-U-R-T. So you go up to his office and it said Richard Hurt. You know, it's you have to be there. It's just kind of funny. He's a super fellow though. He's always willing to work. Great with new ideas, and he's a brilliant guy. He really is brilliant. And it's just rare you find somebody with his skills that's willing to talk to you.
That's great. All right, what else you got?
Piano hand we're working on. We got this is a reuse of one that we had done before when we were doing. This is actually a MIDI hand. It's
So
controlled
what makes it a piano hand? The spacing of the fingers matching the spacing of the keys?
You're exactly right.
Okay.
And so you'll have the azimuth and you'll have the fingers that will be able to basically move 2 octaves is what we're working for per hand. So we can do 2
And
octaves.
and so the individual finger movements are controlled by the MIDI signals?
Absolutely. And you can go down to just the most minute movements with this.
And how is the user actually controlling that? Is it muscle movement?
Muscle, whatever they have. We've got one kid that wants to use his neck muscles because he has no, he doesn't have any arms at all. And he wants
Wow.
to use his neck muscles, which he has fairly good control of. So we're going to go into his voice box. And we're going to allow, what we're going to do is we're going to put microphones on him. And we're going to allow him to use his voice to control the MIDI.
Is
we're
that
gonna
going to be
convert
like
his
note
humming.
matching? Like if he hums
Yeah.
a C, it's going to play a C?
You hit it on the head.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you just hit it on the head.
That's wild.
And we've already got the tech working. At this point, what we're going to use is a Sonus. And it's a small box that it was originally discarded. Nobody used it. It was for guitars.
Okay.
And it didn't track well. It just didn't work. So we took the circuit out of it and we kind of enhanced it a little to work with microphones with cardioids. So we're going to take that and use it to convert it to MIDI signals. And I hope you saw the one of Marcus. I hope with
So I
with him
think,
playing.
you know what, as I think about this, I think what I want to do is let's have Ben work with you to get that presentation set up for July and focus on animal prosthetics there. I'm very personally, as I mentioned before, I'm big into music. So in the 3D Universe Untethered session, let's focus more on the MIDI stuff and the work you're doing there and the music interfaces. We'll cover that. And then in the other session, you'll cover the animal prosthetics. How about that?
Whatever you guys want. I don't mind. I'm having fun. And then we also
I
built that cigar box.
suggest that both of you guys dip into his archive of videos.
Yeah.
I find it a little hard to wrap my head around everything Rick is telling us. And I think a few videos of the end users interacting with this stuff would be very compelling.
We just last week, I think, sent you guys the one with Marcus playing his new keyboard. And we actually designed him an interface that allows him not only through motion, twisting his arm back and forth, he can put this device on the back of his 3D printed hand. And as he shakes it back and forth, he's able to select any musical instrument of his choosing. And then he's able to start his own little band. I uploaded the videos. I guess you guys might not have seen them, but we had a little couch session because we had him last week. We babysitted him for his mom because now she's a professional scuba diver. We got her all going in professional scuba diving. And so now we get to babysit him now and then. And when he's here, we plug in all the big synthesizers, we plug him in and we just let him play. And he just loves to play. And he's got fun. Come to find out, he's got a beautiful singing voice.
That's
Also.
great.
So
Well, Rick, this is obviously fascinating work and I want to see more, but I do have an 11 o'clock meeting. So I
understand, guys. Sorry,
wrap this up here.
I get to chat.
No, it was thrilling to see that. And I will have you give us more next time because I know you have more to show, but good stuff. So we'll follow up with you about a couple of presentations to cover the animal prosthetics as well as the music MIDI stuff, which both I think are fascinating.
I will check with the surgeon too to see if he would be willing. I bet he would.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, I got to run, guys. Thank you so much. See you next time.